Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5. At the 2. At the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Cornbread! I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Welcome to the Detroit Koolaid, everybody. This is Griff coming at you here on a Friday. Just run solo here today. Me and Derek had a little trouble getting our schedules hooked up this week, so hope you guys enjoy listening to me today. Once again, it's Friday, so that means it's going to be a weather report. It's going to be chilly outside. Winter's here, so it's a great weekend to sit inside, watch playoff football. Some more great games this weekend. Once again, too bad our beloved Lions aren't there, but I'm sure they'll be there soon. I mean, just look at the turnarounds that Cleveland had. Just a few years ago, they were 0-16. Buffalo was kind of wandering out in the desert for a few years. They're back. You know, they're looking really good this year again. Real tough team, not tough out. So yeah, I know I'm always talking about the Packers and the Steelers and the Cowboys. But yeah, it's really nice to see some different blood in there. Been enjoying watching the game, especially that Cleveland-Kansas City game. That's I'm pretty sure it's going to be a nice high-scoring game right there, so not too much defense happening. So once again, just Saturday, Sunday, if you're not one of those cold weather people that don't like to go outside and ski or sled or anything like that, hang out inside and watch some good football this weekend. And as always, TGIF, thank God it's Friday. So first thing I really want to touch on was some real good talent in that national championship game Monday night. I know a lot of people were impressed. Me, Devontae Smith, looking real good. Najee Harris out of the backfield looking good. Justin Fields, looked pretty decent here and there. You missed a couple throws, but that's fine. It was another thing is Jalen Waddle, he came back. He had that early in the game, had that really nice crossing route, and then had a little bit of a limp afterwards. So, I mean, there's obviously going to be some talent there that the Lions may look at. I know there's a lot of people looking at, wide receiver form at that early first-round pick, but, right now, I mean, haven't broken down a whole lot of tape. I know Derek's been doing that, starting to do that, get his whole list together. But you're really hoping the Lions, get some defense. I mean, don't get me wrong, Devontae Smith, set up a record, for the national championship game or an Alabama bowl game or whatever, doing that in the first half. Ohio State couldn't cover him. He made everybody on that Ohio State defense just look slow. So it's one of those things like if you're going to watch that tape and want to draft anybody from that Ohio State defense, I mean, I realize Shaun Wade's pretty decent, but gosh, I mean, Ohio State's linebackers just look plodding slow. So really, I don't want any of those guys. I'm a Lions fan. We just saw the last few years where, slow plodding linebackers will get you. So, I don't want any of those guys. But once again, I've, only watched those guys on game, for my lazy boy, me doing my lazy boy scouting. So I still don't think Ohio State's defense, it wasn't that great. But, once again, that's just me talking. So you guys, if you all disagree, hit me up on Twitter at @GriffKDKC. I'm always love to talk, some college football right there. But still, let's hope that the Lions are looking for some defense, early in the draft and a whole lot of that draft because that defense needs an awful lot of help, and I'm pretty sure we all know that. Next thing I've been kind of hearing a lot about, or people wondering because was it Deshaun Watson. He's not happy down in Houston after they hired another guy from the Patriots. Not quite for sure what people still think. I mean, I don't know. Has the Patriot way kind of lost its luster this year, or is it just one of those? It's a rebuilding year. Bill Belichick will be back next year. We'll be fine there. Just keep hiring the guy. They're the ones bringing in all the talent, but still, I think a lot of it has to do with the coaching up there. It just seems that a lot of limbs off the Belichick tree just don't grow and flourish like you'd hope it would. I know Miami's got a good coach there. A lot of people are impressed with the Giants coach, off the Belichick tree, but that happens a lot of places. I remember Eric Mangini had some good years with the Jets, and everybody's like, oh, look at he'll pan out, and that really didn't happen. So just one of those things. I mean, I can see where Deshaun Watson was frustrated with it, and everybody's like, oh, we should trade for him. So I'm seeing all this stuff all over the place. People are putting like trade offers together, like, oh, we'll give him Stafford and our first round pick, and a second round pick next year, and there's one point, me and Derek, we're chatting about this, and we're like, why would Houston do that trade? It's like, yeah, they're getting all the picks, but then again, why would Detroit do that trade? I mean, Detroit needs a lot of help, and I know I always say it, prospects are suspect till they do something, but there's a point where it's just, you can't give a bunch of draft picks, I mean, Watson, he's a good quarterback. He is. I mean, I know Dabo Sweeney called him the Michael Jordan of football, which, I mean, come on, man, it's, Derek pokes at me still about, Jelani Devine being a poor man's Chris Spielman, but, calling, Deshaun Watson the Michael Jordan of football, it's like, yeah, okay, let's just, pump the brakes right there, okay? I mean, yeah, he's good, but, he ain't that good, and so, I don't know, like, Detroit trading a lot of their future away, in draft picks, because once again, I mean, Watson is he is a commodity there, and, he's done some good things, but I think he's also one of those quarterbacks that needs a little bit of talent around him. I'm not saying he needs a stacked, deck, like, some quarterbacks look great with, a stacked team around them when they don't make anybody around them better. Baker Mayfield. But that's one of those things where I think, if he has marginal talent, I think he's a marginal quarterback. Once again, feel free to disagree with me, but if you're willing to give up Matt Stafford, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick, or some of these other trade offers where it seems like the Lions are mortgaging their future for it, I mean, I'm not willing to do that. I mean, like I said, he's a decent quarterback, but I don't know. Speaking of Watsons, wouldn't you rather have like Randy Watson singing the Lions, after-score touchdown song, their fight song? That'd be awesome if we have Randy Watson and Sexual Chocolate down there, singing that, down the field and gain. How sweet would that be? But I think that'd be the Watson I'd want on the team as opposed to Deshaun Watson from Houston. So I'm not making that trade anytime soon. I'm not looking to do that anytime soon. Once again, whoever the new GM, comes out to be, I guess obviously the other one's going to be putting the squad together. And if they feel they want to do that, I don't think so. But I mean, once again, from everything you're reading, I mean, it'd be a pretty steep trade, and also it seems like a lot of stuff's coming out where Stafford's still going to be here for a couple years. Simply, one of his contract, and two, I mean, he's still a franchise quarterback. He's a starter. We all know what he is, and I know me and Derek both agreed it might be time just to move on. See if you can get something for him. I was listening to the radio today, and they're like, you don't think the Patriots would be willing to give up their first round pick for him? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the Patriots are looking to do. Maybe they want to go get another quarterback. Maybe can do like some more runs. I mean, let's face it. I mean, their offense doesn't have a whole lot of stout talent on it, and Stafford's been known to make a few guys better. But it's one of those things where I remember for the longest time it was always like, well, Stafford, you got to get him weapons. So I would always like where Derek questions his toughness. Lately, I always like it makes it sound like he's tough as nails. Always out on the field no matter what. For the longest time it was like Stafford always needs a bunch of talent around him. That's why they drafted the way they did. Brandon Pettigrew, Eric Ebron, the wide receivers. Drafting up, trading up to get Javid Best, and everybody was always like, oh, you need always talent around him. And I mean there's plenty of quarterbacks that need talent, to prove themselves. But I still think there's quarterbacks out there with limited talent, and they make them better. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Aaron Rodgers. I think everybody knows the smugness, how much I don't like that guy. But, really, I mean, he's a quarterback that does make players around him better. And, yeah, he gets a few calls. But still, I mean, he's a good quarterback. Let's face it. He's a good quarterback. So, to say that Deshaun Watson's one of those guys that if he doesn't have superior talent around him, he's going to make them better, I don't think he's one of those guys. I mean, yeah, he's mobile, he's got a good arm, but it's one of those things. I still think he needs some sort of talent to be a good quarterback. I mean, we all kind of saw what they did this year. I mean, yeah, they traded Hopkins away. And Hopkins, one of the premier wide receivers in the league. I got it. But really, I mean, this team wasn't like losing games like 45-38. It's not like Watson was out there just putting a ball, helping this team score a whole bunch of points. And I still think you need some talent. And right now, the Lions, where they're at with the salary cap, all the guys that are free agents on this offense. Yeah, they got Swift, and yeah, Kerryon Johnson's still there, and they have T.J. Hawkinson. I mean, really, with young to no wide receivers on this team, I don't know if Deshaun Watson making a trade for him is the wisest move. So that's something I would stay away from. I wouldn't plan on doing that, and I would just I wouldn't consider if I was the Lions. But who knows what the Lions are thinking? Sometimes they might want the new person may want to come in and may want to do a big splash or something like that. So me, once again, I'm looking to stay away from that. One other thing, speaking of the Lions wide receivers, I don't know if anybody's seen some of these. I mean, I know I've picked up some of these articles. My favorite spot, Lions 24/7, as Derek says, but still, I mean, did anybody see like those contract demands Kenny Galladay is putting out there? It's like, dude, I mean, yeah, you're good, but I don't think you're that good. I mean, considering what you played 5 games this year, and it was one of those nagging hip injuries, and all of a sudden, I mean, once again, I still think you're going to get somewhere like, was it north of 15 or north of 17? I can't remember exactly. I think I said north of 17. North is what I was predicting. But like your contract demands for what you're looking for. I mean, Derek, like Derek says, you're not a top 10. I mean, dude, you're looking for that. I mean, it's just, come on. Like, I mean, I don't know who your agent is, but let's be realistic here, okay? I mean, those numbers you're looking for, that's, it's time to pump the brakes on there, buddy. I mean, it's like, oh, what I could be. Well, we saw what you could be. You sat out pretty much the whole year. I mean, you played a third of the season, if that. So I don't know what you're looking for is really realistic in what you're thinking there. So one of those things, like, I'm not saying you're going to give the Lions a hometown discount. Maybe you still want to consider the Lions. Depending on who their coach and GM are going to be, if that's something you're looking forward to. But, gosh, I can't remember. It was like 5 years or something like that, and, $85 million or something, or some massive contract number. I can't remember right off the top of my head exactly what it is. When I first read it, I just kind of dropped my jaw and went from there, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. So, I mean, dude, you're good. I mean, I know I don't want to say your Lions good. I know Derek hates it when I say stuff, something like that, but I think it's time to realize, who you are and, where you're at, and like the way you were injured most of the year. And yeah, you were great last year, but you didn't back it up. And me and Derek had this conversation about, hey, you had 1 year, okay, cool. Do it again to kind of prove it. And I know that was one of those things where Derek kind of mentioned it back and forth, like, kind of back it up and prove it. And that was what he didn't back it up. I realized, injuries did it. That's I mean, I don't want to say that's no excuse, but still, I mean, 5 games and people are like, well, are you coming back? Is he coming back? Oh, okay, there's nothing to play for. No use playing him anymore. I don't know what he's thinking. I mean, so contract demands. I mean, sure, you're looking for the big payday. I got it. It's your first real big contract, but this one, you may be trying to price yourself out of a market, and I don't know if anybody's going to give you that. Then, was it Marvin Jones? Marvin Jones, I read somewhere he was kind of interested maybe in like signing with the Dolphins. Maybe just wants to go to a warmer climate. Maybe just likes it down there. I'm not quite for sure where his hometown is. I guess I could have looked that up to get the thought process on that. But that's one of those things where maybe just he likes the way the direction that team's going. Once again, I know me and Derek had mentioned it. Derek had talked about it. Maybe Miami was looking to move off Tua. There's kind of a rumor that they're looking maybe to see if they can get Justin Fields down there. So the injury, his hip injury, has lingered a little more, cost him a little bit from what he could do in college. I know Derek likes, always thought Tua was a winner, liked his moxie, what he could do. Once again, I'm not a huge fan of Alabama quarterbacks. I think they're a lot more game managers than anything. Nick Saban doesn't ask them to be great because they're already playing on pro teams down there at Alabama. And not everybody, in college is obviously going to make the pros, but for as good as everybody claims that the SEC is, And football, I mean, still everybody on that defense, there's only a few guys, 2 or 3 guys on those defenses that are great, where it seems like everybody on an Alabama offense is great. They got pro offensive lines, pro wide receivers, always a great running game. So Alabama quarterbacks, I don't think ever really need to be great in college. They're already, they just kind of got to be game managers. They just kind of got to be there. So if I never really thought highly of Tua coming out of college. I thought at best he would just be an average quarterback, nothing great. And to hear that a team's already ready to move off him, but yeah, it might not have to do with his play, but more have something to do with the lingering injury that he got in college. But still, that's hard to hear, and I'm not quite for sure what Marvin Jones, like I said, maybe just wants to go down to warm weather. I don't know. He's played really well. Derek said, no use. Like, I don't want to write the guy off and say like the Lions shouldn't try to sign him. He did. He had a great year for what he was out there. At one point, he kind of disappeared. He came on really late in the end. I'm on one of those guys that seems like, once again, contract years, guys try to show up more. People make fun of me for that, but it seems to hold true that when somebody knows they're going to get a contract, they want to produce a little more simply because that's what's left in the mind. It's the parting shot where GMs and teams are like, well, look at what this guy does. Look what he can do. I mean, Marvin Jones been around for a while, so everybody kind of knows what he can do. And I'm not seeing some massive payday for him at this age and his where he is. I mean, I'm not saying he's old, but he's getting up there. He's definitely well seasoned, but he's obviously going to look to get paid as much as possible. So the way he balled out those last few games, really got to hand it to him. I mean, he really showed up. Considering he was really the main wide receiver on that team at that point. Amendola was still around, but I don't know if I'd bring him back. He kind of really didn't do anything this year to impress me. And at this point, they got Quintus Cephas, and they could go sign or draft some other guys as well. But see what you can do. I'd bring back Marvin Jones, but hey, if he's looking to go down to Miami or where they're warmer climate, I get it. He can do what he wants at this point in his career. Like I said, maybe he just likes the way that team's going. But that's just, once again, just something I saw that I'm like, oh, okay, maybe he just wants to head down there and finish out his career down there. And if that's the case, more power to him. So I would, if I was the Lions though, I would definitely look to try to get him back into the fold though. So let's do this. I know you had a lot of weeks where you weren't hearing any ads, but it's time to pay some bills again. Got to take a pause for the cause here and get back to getting these bills paid for us, so you keep listening to us here on the Detroit Koolaid. So I'll be right back.
What's going on, everybody? This is your host, Derek Oakrey of the Detroit Koolaid Cast, and this is normally where I tell you about some of our great sponsors. But today, I want to tell you about my other Lions podcast. It's called Believe in Lions, and that's spelled BLEAV on the Believe Podcasting Network with both myself and Lions legendary safety Benny Blades. Yeah, you know who he is, the hard-hitting safety Benny Blades. Played for the Lions. He also played for the you know what it is, the University of Miami, those Miami Hurricanes. He mentions it multiple times a show. Benny loves to talk about his Hurricanes, his Lions, and I love to play this soundbite on the show. We have a ton of fun on that show. We laugh, we joke, we talk Lions. Like I said, he brings up the Hurricanes. I talk about my Michigan Wolverines. It's a really fun show. Benny loves the Lions. He tells great stories from his playing days, as well as we're just rooting on this team. We BLEAV in the Lions. So please go ahead, find it on your favorite podcast platform. Hit that subscribe button and check it out. Share it with a friend. We really appreciate it. So check out Believe. BLEAV and Lions with myself and Benny Blades. Thank you guys so much.
Welcome back to the Detroit Koolaid, everybody. This is Griff coming at you here on a Friday. Just talking some basic football here and a few things. Once again, just kind of talked about training for Watson, the Lions wide receivers. Once again, just want to touch base on a few guys that played in the game Monday night, and maybe a few offensive guys that the Lions would be looking at. Once again, haven't broke down any tape yet. I know Derek's been starting to do that as well, so I'm sure we'll cover more players as the offseason goes on. What I did want to touch base with here, obviously it's still ongoing, is the coaching and GM search. John Schneider signed an extension with Seattle this week, so that takes him off the table. I don't know if they gave him any, I don't want to say more power, but Pete Carroll's the one who has the final say out there in Seattle, so anything that, he's got the final say on players, personnel, so Schneider, he's out there, obviously looking for talent, but it would have been a nice get here in Detroit, but I understand, you want to stay in Seattle, that's fine, I got it. I mean, obviously Detroit moves on to the next one. I mean, they're still looking at what they brought Dobbs in, Ed Dobbs, from Indianapolis. There's a big rumor around his favorite guy is Saleh as well. But Saleh, I don't know if you saw that earlier this week, he did get a second interview with the New York Jets. So, I don't know, it might be one of those things where Detroit, if you want somebody, you got to, push the button now. If Dobbs and Saleh are your two guys, and you like them both, if that's the guys you want to go for, do it. But it's obviously kind of getting a little late in the game here for that. I'm sure, everybody's like, what are you talking? The playoffs aren't over yet. Still, but if he's your hot commodity, they're not in the playoffs, you might have to just kind of pull the trigger and go with it. I mean, Dobbs was with Cleveland or with Indianapolis, and the Colts got knocked out. So if these are your guys, go get them. Was it also Colbert still out there? The man who's from Pittsburgh. Once again, I mean, he used to be a scout here in Detroit, so he's worked in the Lions organization before, so he kind of knows what he's walking into. I mean, everybody's like, it's a different page with Sheila Ford Hamp. It's going to be different from her parents, which, don't get me wrong, I really hope so. It seemed like, obviously William Clay would hang on to people way too long, give them, because they buddy up to him. It seemed like, if they got a case of cigars from a coach during Christmas time or GM, William Clay was keeping you around. I think Martha Ford, I think I don't want to say she press the panic button a little quicker where she wouldn't want to hang on as much, but I think with her it's just age did not sit on her side as well, so I think she just kind of realized it was time for her to move on. So I think Sheila Ford Hamp, she's obviously going to be looking for the right people to lead this in the direction. So Colbert's dealt with the Ford family before. He's been here in Detroit, like I said, he knows the organization. Once again, I'd be happy with that one as well. So Dobbs, Colbert, I'm okay with either one of those. I know Lou Riddick, a lot of people are asking for him as well. Once again, not comparing him to a Matt Millen type thing, but once again, I mean, the guy's very knowledgeable about football as well. He's been here. I think he would do very well being able to judge today's modern day talent, well, as well as the other guys as well. So once again, Riddick, Dobbs, Colbert, all good picks. The Lions continue to do a lot of interviews as well. They asked, to talk to Todd Bowles, defense coordinator from Tampa Bay. I know Bowles was a coach before. I mean, Tampa Bay, defense is decent. Got some good talent there. Don't know how I feel about it. They also interviewed, was it Dan Campbell, the assistant coach down at New Orleans. Now, that's another one. I mean, he used to play in Detroit, so obviously he knows the Detroit as well. But I keep reading these things like, I'd be okay with him as the coach. I'd be okay with him as the coach. And as I'm reading this, I'm just like, why? What has Dan Campbell done for people to be like, yeah, he'd be a fine coach here in Detroit? What, because he's the top assistant in New Orleans? I mean, what, because he's played football, he knows it. At this point, I'm like, I don't care. I mean, I don't know how excited I would be for Dan Campbell to come in here as the coach. And I'm sure, like, he'll say the right things, he'll know what to do, and like I said, he knows the organization, so I don't know if that gives him really the inside shot, but I can't see getting all stoked over Dan Campbell as the coach. And like I said, I'm reading this, and people are like, I'm good with this, that wouldn't be a bad hire, and it just makes no sense to me. I'm confused. He's the top assistant in New Orleans. So what? I mean, that team is Sean Payton's team, and they got Drew Brees. I mean, it was like, we got Matt Stafford. Yeah, you're right, but they got Drew Brees, okay? They got Drew Brees and Sean Payton. Those are two proven commodities. And Dan Campbell's just kind of there as, he's doing his job, assistant head coach, but really, I mean, is he coordinating anything? I mean, he's there just kind of watching practice, and this is the guy you want to, put in the team. I mean, understand, do your due diligence. Interview as many people as you want. But I can't I can't be picking up on Dan Campbell and getting all excited saying this team's obviously going in a new direction if they take Dan Campbell. I guess I kind of feel the same way with Todd Bowles, though, to a point. I'm just like, you okay, Todd Bowles? I mean, I guess I get more excited over other guys, but it's just kind of the way I look at those two guys. And then Marvin Lewis. I mean, you're reading all this stuff like, ooh, Marvin Lewis. Oh, gosh, he said all the right things. Well, yeah, and I like Marvin Lewis. I really don't have a problem with the guy. But it's one of those things where it just seemed, yeah, he made the playoffs a number of times with the Bengals, but he never won a playoff game. And it was like, well, there's a lot of reasons for that. Well, and I think the one that really hurt the most was, I can't remember the year off the top of my head, where it's the infamous Kimo Van Oldhoffen game where he hit, Carson Palmer and, was pretty much destroyed his knee in that playoff game where Cincinnati had obviously had a really good team that year. And, after that, without Carson Palmer, the offense wasn't nearly as good as it had been all year. But still, it seemed like Marvin Lewis really underperformed and really underachieved with the amount of talent and the players that he had in Cincinnati. Those Cincinnati teams were good, but it just seems like they always seem to disappoint a little bit, dropping out early in the playoffs. And I know a lot of Detroit fans now are just like, oh, that's what we're just shooting. We want to get back to getting to the playoffs. You're right, but there comes a point where just making the playoffs and losing the first round, it's just like, okay, you want a little more. It's to the point now, it's just like, I even want a little more now. I don't want to just get to the playoffs. I want to do some damage. I want deep playoff runs. I want great teams where teams fear them when they walk on the field. That's what I want. I just don't want, we made the playoffs, got knocked out in the wild card round. Okay, congratulations. You had us for week 18, because they're going to 17-game seasons now. So, hey, thanks. Week 18, we had another week, but we could have done some more. We could have had a better team. We thought we had the talent to beat this team. And that's just kind of how I feel with Marvin Lewis. I don't think he really gets the team over the hump. So once again, do your due diligence. Bring him in. Talk to as many people as you want. I got it. I'm cool with that. But once again, this is another guy, kind of like the other two guys that I just named. I don't think I'm going to get all like jonesed up for and just feeling like, oh my gosh, this is it. We're making deep runs with this guy as our coach. I'm sure he's a fine coach. I mean, really, but I mean, you always talk about retreads. That guy is the definition of a retread coach right there. And like me and Derek talk, we're always looking for Detroit to be cutting edge, kind of be out in front of the curve for a change. And I don't think Marvin Lewis really does that. I just don't think he does that. Now, once again, I'm still, talking about Saleh. I'd still really like to see him as a coach. It doesn't seem like Eric Bieniemy is gonna be coming here, but the Lions have interviewed a number of people, and I'm sure once again I'm still the big proponent of, hey, please hire the GM first. Don't hire the coach first. Let the GM pick the coach, and then they're tied together that way. Because if you pick the coach first and the team goes sour, and then the GM's like, well, you gave me that guy. You wanted him first, now I try to give him the guys you want, as opposed to like, hey, this is the guy I wanted. And I think we just saw that, what the Lions did, with Bob Quinn, and here, we want you to, here's the coach, and we want you to keep this guy, we like him, Jim Caldwell, he's a good coach, and we want you to keep him, but obviously Bob Quinn never wanted him, was looking for the easiest way to get rid of him so he could bring his own guy in. So, once again, just let the GM pick the coach. I mean, Lions have done their due diligence. They've interviewed so many people. And once again, it's more like a waiting game now. Once again, I still think if they're really high on Saleh and Dobbs, and Saleh's getting the second interview with the Jets, I think you might have to jump now. Or if you're not, you're like, okay, we think, Saleh and X person are pretty much on the same playing field. That's fine. And maybe you can wait at that point. And I'm okay with that. But, please, just let's see this one where I want to coach here, and as many Lions fans want as well. You don't want to be doing this again in another 3 years. You don't want 3 more years of mediocre to crappy football. We've just had enough, and it's getting to the point now where, okay, I've seen this long enough. Okay, and everybody's like, well, go root for somebody else. No, I mean, like Derek says, I do get down on them. I do. I got it. Yep. And maybe you're tired of hearing me being down. You come to listen to Detroit Koolaid, be pepped up. But there's a point where it's like seeing some of this talent on this team and what it hasn't done. some of the guys that have missed in the draft, some of these free agent signings that have really hamstrung us now with where we're at with salary cap. And like $10 million in space is all we have. I mean, there's so many holes on this team. We got to do something, here really soon. And I don't know if this is one of those, hey, this is going to be a 3-4 year turnaround. Hey, like I said, Cleveland, just a few years ago, 0-16. Buffalo, a few years ago, wallowing in the desert. And they're back there doing some damage in the playoffs, knocking off some good teams. So that's what we're looking for here. Maybe not next year. Maybe in a couple years they're really, knocking on that playoff door, playing some meaningful December games and getting us hyped up late December. It's like, hey, maybe instead of, we need this, just to be still considered as a playoff team, we need this win to, hey, we're winning the division. We need a home playoff win. We're looking for a home playoff game, so this is what we need to win for. That's what we're looking for, as Detroit fans. We're looking for more than just, just being happy of getting to the playoffs. And I know baby steps, you hear it, but, I mean, come on, man. A lot of us Lions fans been around here for a while. We're looking for something. Even like Derek, you could hear the frustration in Derek's voice listening to one of his show. He's been around 12, 15 years. He's starting to wonder. It's just like, when's this gonna happen? When's this gonna? Hey, Matt, feel your pain, D. I feel you. Like you said, come summer, come the draft, come summer when training camp start back up, we're all going to be drinking the Kool-Aid again. We'll be picking this team for 12, 11 wins, even with a 17-game season. That's what we're going to be asking for this team and hoping that turns around. So, once again, it's another important offseason. It starts with, hiring the right GM and coach. And once again, we're all going to be drinking the Kool-Aid out there, doing our best, hoping for this team, go out there. And seems like a lot of teams in the division, Aaron Rodgers, once again, he's getting long in the tooth. They got their, Jordan Love at quarterback. And, there's some okay young talent there. But still, I think they can be beat. Minnesota, everybody knows how I feel about Kirk Cousins. He ain't that great. So still they got Dalvin Cook, and Dalvin Cook's the man, and they got some, Justin Jefferson at wide receiver, and the guy's a stud. Chicago, they still got Mitch, and who knows what they're gonna do. Hey, they made the playoffs with Mitch at quarterback, but still, I still think the Bears they're not that great. So the Lions, a couple moves here and there, they can be once again, competing for. Winning this division and making the playoffs, and that's all we're really hoping for as Lions fans here. So I'm going to keep drinking the Kool-Aid. Me and Derek are still going to be bringing it to you. Big, heaping, glasses of it, overflowing. Hopefully, we get that coach and GM here pretty soon. Then we can start focusing more on the draft, thinking maybe what direction they may be looking to take this team. Complete overhaul, dump a bunch of people, or say, hey, we like some of the stuff here. I think we can win with these guys now. So, I know once they do those hires, me and Derek will be debating that, and I know you guys will be loving to hear that when, what we're saying back and forth, kind of giving it to each other. So, once again, if you like what you hear, give us a like, subscribe to us, tell your friends. Leave a review, 5-star review. Every little bit helps us. Hit us up on Twitter, at Derek Oakley or at GriffGoodDKC. Or feel free to call and text the line at 989-272-3484. Once again, 989-272-3484. Once again, been really nice coming to you guys here on this Friday. Once again, another, weekend of playoffs. Enjoy the games. And as always, everybody, drink it in, man. I'm out.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in.